Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. You are in the Prog Corner, and today I've got a very, very special guest. He's hiding in the shadows a little bit today, but we don't care. We've got the one, the only Hans Lundin from the great KAIPA is with us today, all the way from Uppsala, Sweden. Hans, can you hear me? How you doing?
Yeah, okay, I'm sitting here. It's
Yeah.
hot and it's summer after a terrible winter. So I'm a
Mm,
happy man now.
yes. We've got some exciting news to get into, which I want to kind of, everybody's going to want to hear about KAIPA. Stick around. We will be talking a little bit about what's going on in KAIPA land. Brand new album coming out on Inside Out. But first, Hans, you've got a secret, man. You were in a band called San Michaels. And I had heard about this band, but I never thought I'd see the day where the first two albums actually come out on vinyl. I'm excited. Tell me a little bit about this band, San Michaels, which actually predates KAIPA, right?
Oh, it's a long story. We can start 60 years ago. I started to play in my first band in the summer of 1964.
Hmm.
The band was called the Shakemen. And in 1965, we changed the name to St. Michael's Sect.
Okay.
Uh,
Why?
and
Where did that name come from?
uh, Maybe we were influenced by Downliner Sect. It was in fashion to have names like that.
Hmm.
I don't know. But everything keep going very quick. And I was 16 years old when I started to play. And in 1965, we recorded our first single. And same year, we went to Oslo and came back as Nordic Pop Masters. Uh, in- so it was a good start.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, and okay, we continued playing, changed members several times.
And you changed the name, right? It went from
Yeah,
San Michael's Sect to just shorten it up to San Michael's.
yeah, in 1970. That's correct.
I'm jumping way too far ahead then, man. I'm sorry.
Okay. And when we started, we were a five-piece band, but 6 months later, we were just a trio with Hammond organ, bass, and drums, and we were all singing. And that was the beginning of uh, the new style when we started to write our own songs with Swedish lyrics. And that resulted in our first LP, San Michael's, the self titled album, in 1971. And in 1972, we added guitar player Nane Kvilseter to the band and recorded a second album. But for some reason, it was never released.
The problem.
Uh,
What was it like? The record label had gone under or something like that, right?
uh, the fact is that our drummer Gunnar Westberg, he had an offer to play with Swedish organ player Merit Hemmingsson,
Hmm.
and this led to that the band disbanded in the spring of 1973.
So now the first album was released, but I don't think it really got widespread distribution outside of Sweden. So we're looking at the reissue of both the first album, uh, its first reissue since 1971, right? Or it came out in 71, right?
Yeah,
And then the second album, it did finally get like a CD release, like later on, like in the 90s or something, right? If I've heard correctly.
now 37 years later,
7 years later.
in 2009, both San Michael's album was released in Japan on the Marquee label,
Okay.
and also a European version was released. So it took uh, 37 years for this second album, Natt Tåg, on English, Night Train, to be released. And now both these albums will be reissued on vinyl.
Via the great Discus Plus Carel, PQR. These guys are knocking it out of the park with great reissues. They put the great Boo Boo Annabellis out a couple years ago, and they just reissued Mirth Rander, one of my favorite American prog bands. And now we're digging deep into the Hans Lundin catalog with the first two San Michael albums available on vinyl. I guess it's black vinyl and like a splatter on the debut. And then on the second album, there is black vinyl and then like a marbled. They both look awesome. I just got the press kit like 5 minutes ago, and I was looking at it. I'm like, those look awesome. I want all four, but they're real limited edition. Have you gotten your hands on them yet? Have you taken a look at these bad boys?
I just saw the press release.
Okay.
So
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah.
I really can't wait. Now, in the band, you had Thomas Eriksson, right?
Yes, Thomas started in 1967 in St. Michael Sect, and we played together for 10 years. So when I decided to start a new band, when St. Michael's disbanded, Thomas and I were acting as backing musicians. We had done that with St. Michael's. We were backing musicians to a very popular artist from UK, Emil Ford. Do you know him? Yeah. He had a lot of hits in Sweden, so we were backing musician on a summer tour. And after St. Michael's, we had an offer to be backing musician to a new star in Sweden that had some single hits. His name is, or was, Joe is still alive, so his name is Harpo. A few years later, he had a worldwide hit with a song called Movie Star. Okay.
All right.
That's
who it is. I know that song, so I guess I know him.
Yeah. This was his first performance. He was a boy sitting at home writing songs with a guitar, and then he went to the record label and got a contract. And then he needed a band. So we formed a band called Harpo's Helicopter. And it was one tour. Then I felt this is not really what I want to do. So I decided to form a new band, play our own songs. So in the autumn of 1973, I started a new trio, and we decided to call the band Ura KAIPA. And it was me and Thomas Eriksson and a drummer. So we were back at it in the trio format. And we started to rehearsal and with the new material, and no one knew nothing. No one knew anything about this band, so you can say we started from zero.
Yeah.
And then just a few years later, we were the leading Scandinavian progressive rock band.
Yeah, I mean, as an American, one of the very few bands that penetrated in any way, shape, or form was KAIPA. I actually had heard of them somehow, and got my hands on the third album solo, and I have been a huge Hans Lundin fan ever since. I was reading the press kit, and there's a story about San Michael's. What you get booked up in some place called Harstad, and you get stuck like hundreds and hundreds of miles away from home, and you get fired before you even start playing. I mean, that's the kind of story I know our people would love to hear.
Yeah, that's something I never forget. uh,
Yeah, tell our people what happened with that.
our agent offered us a job at a club at the small city of Harstad, far up in the north of Norway. And the
we're
contract,
not even in Sweden anymore, man. We're all the way in the Northland of Norway. Okay, wow.
yeah, and the contract was on a monthly basis with one long performance every evening. And in Harstad, there is a US military base. And we saw this as an opportunity to spread our music outside of
Yeah.
Sweden. So we gladly accepted this offer. But it wasn't exactly what we expected.
No.
But we started the drive from Uppsala to Harstad. It took several days. We had to go to Kiruna, far up in the north of Sweden, and then take our car trailer by rail across the border to Norway and Narvik, and then further up north on winding roads to Harstad.
Yikes.
Yeah, and we were very excited when we got there, but
yeah, we're here.
We arrived just in time for sound check, and after getting dressed up, having set up gear and played a few numbers, we were told that everything was wrong. Yeah, our clothes, long hair, amp volume, heavily distorted sound, and no nonsense attitude were in breach of style with this fine and elegant dance hall establishment.
It started with the hair.
Yeah, so, you know, the problem was made by that our booking agency, they knew that we were able to play all types of music.
Right.
So we could play some evergreens, play in a dance restaurant. We had done that. But at this time, we really wanted to play our own music.
Ah, there
And,
you go.
and
Now you're
yeah,
getting to the heart of the matter. Nobody wanted to hear that.
no, so we didn't go to Harstad to play dance music for
No.
1 month. So we were fired on the spot without any money in our pockets and some 3,000 kilometers from home.
Yeah.
It was not the time to panic, though, and after offering our services to a few other more open minded clubs, we managed to get a few gigs. We were also able to borrow a telephone. This was long before mobile phones,
Oh yeah.
1972, to call our booking agency to cancel any further deals.
Yeah.
And we met several nice people and friendly that helped us, and we got some gigs in the nearby cities of Narvik and Mo i Rana, also up there, far up north. But we didn't earn much money, so we needed to go to the police station some days and ask if we could sleep in a prisoner's cell
Wow.
to
That's
avoid
awesome.
the Arctic Norwegian cold. But
That's
of
rock and
course,
roll. I mean, it's not all glamour and groupies and private jets, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to
no,
police stations, begging to use an empty cell just to get out of the cold.
but
That's crazy, Hans.
they did not lock the door. The door was open, so that was an experience indeed.
Oh, I bet.
I have an old photograph where we're standing outside with a, it says politi in Norwegian for police.
Yeah.
So yeah, and a month later we returned to Uppsala.
A month later.
A
That
month, yeah, we stayed a month and played, and we had to go to what do you say? You have the government have some social service. If you have no money,
hmm,
you can go and get help.
right.
So we just had some money for to buy food. So when we returned, we were totally broke.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
and since we had no booking agency, gigs came few and far between. And then our drummer, as I told you, took this offer from Swedish organ player
Yeah.
Merit
And
Henningsson. And
that changed everything.
uh, she was very successful at this time
Yeah.
because she uh, decided to pick up some old Swedish folk music tunes and arrange them in a more modern way with bass drums and violin, a little bit more heavy. And I think she also inspired me as a songwriter. When you listen and find the folk music melodies in the
Yeah.
music of KAIPA. So it's interesting that
Yeah.
Gunnar was
It
offered
makes
this
sense
job.
because you can definitely hear the Scandinavian folk influence in Kaipa's music, and uh, I want to just talk briefly about, I don't know, just a little album coming out on Inside Out uh, by KAIPA. I love this new version of KAIPA, by the way. I know there's like a little bit of divide. Oh, the 70s KAIPA, that's the only one I like. No, I like the modern stuff. Let me tell you something, people. If you're stuck on those 370s albums and that's the only KAIPA that you enjoy, you are missing out, man. Pure Nilsson. Come on, man. Jonas Reingold, are you kidding me? Darby Todd, you lose your drummer, right? You've got like one of the best drummers on earth in KAIPA. You lose him and you get a guy that is how did you find Darby Todd, by the way?
Uh, Per Nilsson, our guitar player, met Darby at the music fair some years ago.
Incredible.
Per is one of the designer of the Strandberg guitars that he's using. Strandberg guitars is a Swedish well-known market, and he goes on music fairs and demonstrate this. And Darby was at the same place because he's working with also programming drum programs you can use in your studio. And they met and became friends.
Oh, and he did a great job on Erzkog, his first album with the band. But I think he was still kind of feeling his way around in the band, right? I don't think he was ready to like put his like stamp of authority. Like he was just being kind of polite. He's not being polite on this new album, man. He's being nasty on this new album. He is so good on this record, and I'm going to try to pronounce it right. It's Summer Grinning Sluis. Summer Grinning Sluis. Summer Grinning Sluis.
Sommargryningsljus. Yeah.
Doggone it. We Americans, we are terrible with this kind of stuff, but I do try, Hans. I really do. Tell me a little bit about the new album. What you were thinking about, how it's structured. It's got the the Alina thing at the beginning and then again at the end. Tell me a little something about this new album because, brother, I'm digging it. I really, really like this one.
I wrote the songs and I checked the total time. It was 70 minutes. I thought it was a little bit too much, but when I listened to it, there was such a nice flow in the music. So I say I can accept that. Let's make an album that is a little bit longer than normal.
And did you have any pushback from Thomas Weber and the powers that be at Inside Out? Did they listen and say, dude, that's too long? or were they just like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be?
No, they trust me. They never listen. I send them the final master.
Really?
They rely on me that I deliver high quality music. So I have the freedom. They are not getting into my business, and that's I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome.
uh,
I mean,
but
I've heard they're that way.
yeah. But what happened here was that we started to record, and one day I was working with Alina Gibson, and we decided to take a short break to go out in my garden and have a cup of coffee. That was in April last year, and suddenly she started to sing a few notes, and I really liked it. So I told her, I like this. Okay, Hans, let's go down in the studio and write a song. And the fact is, we have worked together so many years now, but we have never written a song together.
Hmm, really?
And in
Wow.
this case, there was that magical feeling that happens sometimes. You don't write a song; the music is just coming. So we went down. She started to sing, and I heard the chords, and I played them directly, and I asked her to change some notes. And after 15 minutes, we had written a song, and we
Well,
both said,
you are, Dire Straits. Mark Knopfler once talked about Guitar George. He knows all the chords. We're talking about keyboard Hans. He knows all the chords. I mean, he's the guy that knows every chord, every possible inversion. I mean, this is the cat right here. And that's what I love about KAIPA music is it never stands still too long. There's always something he's got cooking harmonically in the background. Hans never stands still for too long in the music. And there's some kind of U-turns on this album. There's a couple different flavors here that I haven't heard before. I mean, what KAIPA song starts with the flat seven? I mean, that's just like a bluesy kind of feel on certain tracks. And then you've got using every trick in the book from alto sax to violin to whistles. We got the whistles back. They've been missing on the last couple albums. Everything I love about KAIPA is right there on this album. Were you thinking about instrumentation and how this record should sound, or were you just going with whatever the song told you to do?
let me return first to this song we wrote
Oh
together.
yeah, the title track.
Yeah, because we both said, "Wow, this is a fantastic song," and it sounds so Swedish. So we should have Swedish lyrics because I had not planned to have any Swedish title or lyrics on this album at all this time. But okay, and then 1 or 2 weeks later, when I had my morning coffee, that's when the most inspiration is coming to me.
Yeah.
The words just came falling down and landed beside my cup of coffee, and I wrote it down, and the lyrics were finished. And then I realized that I had written about the dusk and dawn.
Mm.
And when I checked the songs on the album, I realized that there is a line here because one song is called "Like Thousand Dawns," and one song, the opening phrase is "A Whispering Dawn." So there was a connection, and there is also a song called Seven Birds that is dealing with dusk when the sun goes down and a girl comes walking out of town. So I found a connection here, and I decided to split the new songs in two parts. So the opening track is about dusk, and the closing track is about dawn.
Hmm.
and it makes it it's not a concept album because all of the songs were already written, but
Right.
it's a little bit of a concept because it's starting in the evening and it ends in the morning.
And
Uh,
it works well as a whole too. Didn't they release the single version is kind of a combination of the two parts?
yeah, and I didn't think it should be on the album, but Inside Out wanted it to be there as a bonus track, and
Yeah.
I accepted that, and that means now the album is a little bit over 80 minutes long with these
Yeah.
songs included. But that's what happens sometimes. It's just
And
to
you
accept.
know, you got to go with whatever your gut's telling you, and that's the thing. I mean, it's pretty bold. Your last album was called Erzkog, right? And then you had Children of the Sounds, which was in English, but the two before that had Swedish titles, and then you just come up with this Summer Grinningslus. I mean, that's a mouthful for the American audience. It's an 80-minute album, and you know what? You don't care. You're gonna do it because it's what your artistic muse is telling you to do. And I'm with you, brother. This album is really, really solid. Uh, I've been enjoying it a lot since I got the advanced copy from Inside Out. So I think people are really, really going to enjoy this one. And that's what I like about your music. Uh, a lot of times is that you know exactly what you're doing with it. Can you talk to me just a little bit about that insane keyboard sound that you get? I mean, within zero point 0.5 seconds that is KAIPA, right? You hear Hans doing this crazy, insane thing. It sounds like a wah-wah pedal. What are you doing? What's going on there?
The fact is that already in the late 70s, I started to try different sound, and I connected a cheap distortion uh, box between the synthesizers. At that time, I used a Yamaha CS60
Hmm.
and a Prophet 5. I had two synthesizers. So already on the album Händer, we recorded in the ABBA studio in Stockholm, Polar studio. I'm using this sound, uh, my first idea of this sound, and on the the next album you can hear even much more. Almost all of the, not only solos, even a lot of the other synths are distorted. That was my distortion heaven
Oh, yeah.
year. And then when KAIPA disbanded in 1982, I continued and recorded three solo albums during the 80s. And there is plenty of this distorted sounds. But what happened then was uh, in the late 90s, I had an offer to uh, participate in a project that led to an album with a band called Hagen, not not Haken, which is a band today.
Right.
This is Hagen with a G, and that was a Swedish band. Uh, the intention was to mix Swedish folk music and rock.
And
Uh,
wasn't Per Nilsson part of that
yeah,
somehow?
correct.
Ah,
That
yeah,
was where I met Per.
yeah.
uh, because I accepted to do this because I thought it was interesting, and also that I could learn something more about Swedish traditional music because there is a famous fiddle player in this band called Anders Rosén, who has recorded several albums with more traditional music. But we did this album, and it took a few years. It came out in 2001, didn't sell many copies, and we never played live or so. But Per and I continued to be friends. But at the same time, when
That's so cool because it's hard to imagine Hans Luden at a Scar Symmetry concert, right?
but let me continue. At the same time, when we were recording this Hagen album, I bought a guitar preamp with a Vava pedal. So that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started to
I
program
thought so.
sounds that was in the vein of what I wanted it to be, and I, you can hear it on this uh, album with a Hagen. The opening track is actually a cover of, or not a cover, because I'm the composer and I'm playing. So it's a KAIPA song from the album Solo you mentioned.
Mm,
Uh, the most folk music inspired song. It's called Vi sang I sommaren. Summer's air is the English translation. And I always thought of that song as a very soft and laid back song. It's very nice. But during the years, I thought it should be interesting to do this song a little bit more heavy and
mm,
being able to play solos on these chord structures.
yeah.
So when the other members in Hagen asked me if we could record this, I said yes, and I made an arrangement. So it's the opening track on that album, and it's
Cool.
called "The Summer's Air." And uh, it's, instead of being 3 minutes, I think this version is 6 minutes.
All right.
And in the second part of the song, there are uh, solos with my typical sound, and there's also a guitar solo from Per. So
Yeah.
you can say that this is the beginning
The
where we
birth.
met.
Yeah. The birth of
Yeah,
that sound. Yeah. Because there's something really magical about the way you and he trade solos. Um, because of the way you play keyboard, it almost sounds like a guitar sometimes. And because of the way Per is playing, like whatever I mean, just that inhuman stuff he does. Yeah, it's not a good, no guitar player can do that. So your brain's like a little confused. And it's just amazing what you guys do together. So that's where it all began.
you know, there are many people that don't think this is played on keyboard.
Yeah.
I read some that said Per is playing a fantastic solo on this Sommargryn is used
Oh, yeah.
single edit, but it's I am playing,
Yeah.
so they
Oh,
think
I get it, man. It's
yeah.
hard to tell sometimes. You gotta, once you know what you're listening for, it's actually very easy to tell. But at first, it's just the Hans Luden way of playing keyboards is unlike anything I've ever heard before. Instantly recognizable, extremely confusing to the uninitiated. But once you fall under the spell of KAIPA, man, you will, for any of you that are on the fence about checking out this band, you absolutely need to check them out. And the new album is a very, very good entry point because I always get asked that question. I'm a newbie. What album should I start with? Summer Grinnensloos. Why not? What do you think, Hans? If they had to start somewhere in the KAIPA catalog, what album would you point them to?
Of course, Sommargryn is used. Then
Yeah.
you can go back.
There you go. Yeah, just go back chronologically. Absolutely
Yeah,
the right thing to do.
yeah.
But yeah, so I am so happy. We got Hans Luden here. We're celebrating the reissue of the first two albums, man. This is so cool. First two San Michael albums on vinyl, both black and different variant. First one's a splatter. The second album, which is called what? Natig?
Natog.
Natug? Okay.
Night Train, yeah.
And that's available on black vinyl and like a marble both very, very cool variants. Like I said, I want all four, so I'm really happy that the good folks at Discus Plus Total, PQR, the people that have been doing some amazing reissues, helping a brother out and putting those two albums out. I'm very, very excited. And then Inside Out, what's the release date on Summer Grinningsloose?
On 28th June.
June 28th, Inside Out, new KAIPA.
I just read here that San Michael's is the 15th of July.
15th of July.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got the same press. Just got the same press thing, I guess.
That's for me, that's a good way to celebrate my 60 years as a musician.
Hey, not bad at all. It all comes full circle. Did you think back in 1971 that you would be on some dude's YouTube channel here in the USA talking about San Michael 60 years later? How old were you in 71, right? I mean, you were just a young pup, right?
71, I was 23.
Yeah, you're just a baby back then, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know you stay busy with all things KAIPA, but what else do you do with your time, either musically or what else are you into these days, Hans?
Oh, now I'm just enjoying the summer that's finally arrived here.
Yeah. Brutal winter in Sweden.
What did you say?
Was it a tough winter?
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
We had it pretty good. It wasn't that bad in Ohio, but Ohio is God's country. We love it here. And Hans, thank you so much. I know we went a little bit long. I told you it'd be like 30 minutes, but I kind of wanted to hear whatever it is you had to say. And if you've got any other words of wisdom for my audience, anything else you want to talk to them about, please do, because I'm all ears, and they are too. I know they love you, and I know they love KAIPA, and I know they're going to enjoy the San Michael reissues. So, what else you got for them?
Oh, we could talk for 3 hours more.
Yeah, we could.
But I'm just glad to be on your program.
Thank you, Hans.
Yeah.
I'm a bit, I told you this before. I'll tell you again. I'm a huge fan. You are the dude that knows all the chords, and the music of KAIPA is unlike anybody else. Hans writes in such a unique and personal way. It's his own unique style. Nobody else, works his way around chord progressions and melody like Hans. So thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here in the Prog Corner. It's the one, the only, the great Hans Lundin. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Scott. Nice to be. Yeah.
And as I always do, I just want to tell my people to tune in every Sunday for the Sunday Prog stream. It's 1:00 Eastern. We do it every Sunday. We're live. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, peace in the Middle East. God save the king. And I'll see you fools soon.